In some areas of the world, piracy is a threat to vessels of all sizes. So the more we know about it, the better we can prepare to minimize risks and avoid or react to dangerous situations. It would be convenient to be able to pinpoint precisely the areas which are the most dangerous, but there are many, and they're constantly changing. Also, the more publicity they get and the more successful the pirates prove, the likelier it is that their example may be followed in other places. Today, the main areas affected are in South and Central America, the Caribbean, Africa, the Arabian Sea, the Indian Ocean, and off the Seychelles and Madagascar, the Indian subcontinent, and Southeast Asia. Most activity is in the Gulf of Aden and along the coast of Somalia. The Johnny Depp movie version of piracy is entertaining and romantic. It's a far cry from the reality. Modern-day pirates have many different motives. Usually, the aim is to steal cargo and/or demand ransom. Achieving that goal may involve harming crew or passengers, but that's not their primary aim. To start with, let's make the clear distinction between safety and security. Taking care of safety means guarding against accidents and mishaps. The word security, though, relates to criminal or terrorist acts which are intended to cause harm. Everyone involved needs to be prepared, and the whole response process consists of 4 basic steps. First, the threat must be identified with the help of those on board who've been trained in the relevant disciplines, such as security advisors. We need to know what and where it is. The next step is risk analysis. Is the vessel vulnerable? If so, where, how might pirates exploit it, and what might the consequences be? Existing security measures and possible access points must be identified and strengthened where necessary. Having established those 2 vital steps, attention can now shift to the next step, which is designed to prevent it from happening, and that calls for planning, preparation, and training. And the 4th step is to look at the various possible responses to any threat that still exists, developing the ship security plan to deal with it, and implementing mitigation measures. This may involve extra drills and training. So the protection process starts before you even leave port or enter any area which has risk potential. Ship owners, companies, operators, masters and crews get the latest information on the area and do everything they can to guard against an attack. They know that it's their responsibility to take seaman-like precautions to safeguard vessels, cargoes, and, most important of all, crews. So before you sail, a full risk assessment is made, the necessary equipment is fitted, and precautionary systems and procedures are put in place. This may involve various activities. Passive and non-lethal devices such as netting, wire, electric fencing, and long-range acoustic devices may be fitted to deter attackers and make it much harder for them to board. Depending on company policy, security advisors may be employed. While the ship's in port or at anchor, all those who have access to it are carefully controlled and recorded. All documents which give information on the cargoes or their location are seen only by those they concern, and information on crew members' personal valuables and ship's equipment is carefully guarded. Communication systems within the ship and with other ships and port facilities are set up, with backup systems or alternative means of communication. You'll get comprehensive training in all of them, as well as instructions on how to react to situations and details of what your emergency duties are. The training will be reinforced by drills before and after you sail. You'll be told what the various alarms are, what each one means, how you should respond to it, and where to muster if you hear it. Keeping a good lookout at all times will make sure there can be advance warning of a possible attack, so that the alarms can be sounded and other ships and the coastal authorities can be alerted. If you've no specific security responsibility, you should stay inside or in the safe area and definitely keep away from the bridge. If you do have special security duties, they'll be explained to you. You'll be taught to understand and use the various security devices. When security patrols are used, there'll be clear written instructions for them, in port, at anchor, and at sea. Safe navigation depends upon displaying the right lights, so that'll determine how much illumination you can use. You can't keep deck lights on when you're underway. They may impede the visual display of navigation lights, which must be shown in accordance with the marine collision regulations. But the area astern of the ship could be lit by wide-beam floodlights. Other equipment, such as high-powered spotlights and radar surveillance, could search for suspicious craft. Decisions on illumination will be at the discretion of the captain, according to the circumstances. Past experience has shown that in some areas, if a vessel takes actions which show that it's aware of potential attackers, that may itself be enough to discourage them from continuing. As part of the general precautions, before getting underway, there's a thorough search and all doors or access points are secured, especially those leading to the bridge, engine room, steering space, and other vulnerable areas. And once the vessel's sailed, these access points are checked regularly. Let's look first at some general overall precautions. Best of all, of course, is to act in a way that prevents an attack taking place. In general terms, there are several things which contribute to a safer passage. Following all local area maritime security recommendations, codes and practices, as well as company and shipboard procedures. Careful route planning. A thorough briefing of the crew. An informed choice of when to transit. The evidence shows that successful pirates take advantage of vessels which are vulnerable in a variety of ways. Among the most obvious are vessels with a slow transit speed, or a low and therefore accessible freeboard which hasn't been fitted with protective barriers of any sort. The crew may not be very alert. Protection levels are low and they don't react quickly to any threat. These are all the result of poor planning and procedures, and pirates are quick to recognize them as weaknesses. Not surprisingly, the same evidence shows that most attempted hijacks which are unsuccessful are on well-organized vessels with good levels of planning and preparation, whose crews are well-trained and vigilant. Vessels are particularly vulnerable during operations, when the crew's focus is on their operational duties, or when the ship's at anchor. Additional duty watches may be needed. Everyone must work as a team, doing the necessary duties, but also keeping a lookout for aft, port, starboard, everywhere, all the time. In places where there's a high risk to personnel, dummies could be set up. If some areas are more vulnerable than others because of reduced visibility, adverse weather, or any other circumstances, extra lookouts should be posted there. Depending on your company's security policy, crew members with special security training and also other personnel on board will be warned when you're about to enter a high-risk area. If there's no alternative but to pass through a high-risk area, the counter-piracy measures planned by your company are implemented, and the maritime authorities present in the area will be notified in case support is required. Keep a constant radio watch with the appropriate shore or naval authorities and set extra watches on the stern and where there are radar blind spots. Reinforce or cover all side ports below the main deck with locking mechanisms which can't be disengaged by automatic fire detection. If there's an attack, but the pirates haven't yet managed to get on board, follow the prepared plans. Send a mayday and other emergency communications to the local security forces and company emergency contacts, and activate the Ship Security Alert System, SSAS. All communications should be clear, concise, and calm. The emergency alarm will sound, and everyone should go quickly to their prepared stations. All the passive defense measures must be activated and manned. If a safe area or citadel has been established, all deck crew and lookouts should go to it. The vessel's speed should be increased to the maximum possible for the area, and it should steer a course which makes it difficult for attackers to approach and board it. Setting it head to wind will also reduce the amount of lee on both sides and give would-be boarders less protection. If you are boarded, try to let the security authorities and your company know what's happening. It's also important for each individual to act in a way that doesn't antagonize or provoke the pirates. Try to relax and stay calm, and don't try to resist them or be aggressive. Avoid staring at them. Keep your movements slow and do as they ask. Don't move about. Try to stay together in one place. If you're in an established safe area, stay away from doors and portholes. We said at the start that pirates' motives vary. Some may not care about your well-being and safety. Others may. And of course, there are specific dangers and vulnerabilities for women. The way you act can make a great difference to your prospects. So here's an idea of what to do and what not to do. Being taken hostage is a frightening experience, and it's completely natural to be afraid of being hurt or killed. Accept that fact and do everything you can to keep a low profile and not antagonize the people who've captured you. The aim is to survive. The first 15 to 45 minutes are the most dangerous. Do everything they tell you to, but stay calm and alert. Don't speak unless you're spoken to, and then only when it's necessary. Your captors may be in an agitated state too, so don't be hostile or talk down to them. Don't make eye contact, and although it's difficult, try to treat them with courtesy. Don't do anything that might make them think you're studying them, but, if you can, make mental notes about their mannerisms, what they're wearing, and who's in charge. Be patient and try to establish some sort of rapport with them. If anyone needs medication, first aid, or to go to the bathroom, say so, but be polite. The captor probably doesn't want to harm you, he just wants the goods or money, and if he hurts you, that could get him into deeper trouble if he's caught. Don't be a hero. You're a captive. Accept the fact. If you do anything they think could be challenging them, you may provoke a violent reaction. You may be isolated, and they may try other ways of disorientating you. Don't fight it, but be ready to cope with it. And don't try to escape unless you're sure it'll be successful. If you're caught, they may use it as an excuse to use violence to teach you and the others a lesson. If there's an attempt by the military to rescue you, remember that they may not know whether you're a captor or a captive. They'll treat everyone the same until they've confirmed who you are. Also, they may not speak your language, so stay calm and answer their questions as best you can to establish who you are and what you do on board. During the military action, don't use a camera with a flash at any time. It may be mistaken for a gun flash. Keep your head down, stay low, and cover your head with your hands, making sure that others can see that you're not carrying anything. Companies and governments alike know that it's in everyone's interests to take precautions against these attacks. They'll all try to provide the advice, security, and procedures necessary to make waters safe everywhere. So be on your guard at all times. Stay calm and stay safe.